Hello, all my happy scribblers, and welcome back to my channel once again. We are here for weeks 19 and 20. This past week, I did a community poll and I asked you all to vote on what bird I should do for the next spread. And eagle won, specifically bald eagle. So here I am. I looked up an image of a bald eagle, and from that, I sketched out my sketch. I wanted something that would cross over to both pages to kind of make it all one and not just have it off to the side. And so I chose this one, and then I just got to watercoloring it. Now I did have a little practice. You'll see later on that I did a watercolor of a bald eagle earlier on in the week using a tutorial. But just based off of that, I kind of knew what colors and which layers to do, and so I just went for it with no tutorial or anything for this one and just looked at that image. And yeah, I felt brave, I guess. It was pretty intimidating to me, but I think it turned out pretty decent considering this was only the second time I've ever painted or even sketched out a bald eagle. Once the main painting was done, I just added in some splotchy colors all around to kind of give it that background, and then I left that right page over there empty for the scripture that I wanted to write down to go with it. I used my rubber stamps to stamp in weeks 19 and 20 at the top of the page. And then I got to writing down my scripture. How could I do a spread with a bald eagle and not use Isaiah 40:31 for it? I actually wrote down verses 28 through 31 because I wanted the entire passage. It says, "Have you not known, have you not heard? Yahweh, the everlasting Elohim, the creator of the ends of the earth. He is not faint, nor does he grow weary. There is no searching to his understanding. He gives power to the faint, and to him with no vigor he increases might. Even youths are faint and fatigued, and young men stumbling shall stumble. But the ones waiting for Yahweh shall renew power. They shall go up with wings as the eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint." How beautiful. I thought it was pretty interesting as I was watching some videos this week about how the name of Yahweh is actually in our DNA. Our DNA has a thing called the sulfuric bridge, and it's basically what holds together our entire DNA and every single human on this planet. And that appears after every 10 nucleic acids, and then after every 5 nucleic acids, after every 6, and after every 5. And then it repeats indefinitely forever. And it turns out that those are exactly the letters in the Hebrew alphabet for the name Yahweh, which is Yud He Vav He. And so that just shows how special each and every one of us is, and that is also why I choose to use his name Yahweh, even though it's different from the traditional title of God. So here you can see that I set up a habits tracker page. Now this is a 2-week tracker, and so I left spaces for 14 days to track, Sunday through Saturday, and I wrote in, or rather I stamped in, my habits that I want to focus on for these next 2 weeks. And I left one empty because, like I always say, I usually end up thinking about something else I wanted to track that I forgot to add in. So I always kind of leave an extra space, and sometimes I end up filling that in and sometimes I don't. And here below, I'm doing a little bit of a sleep tracker. I just want to write in how many hours were between bedtime and waking up in the morning. The baby is kind of getting better at sleep. I mean, she's a pretty good sleeper, but I wasn't tracking because it was so much waking up here and there throughout the nights. And now I feel like I could possibly be ready for tracking once again. So once again, I'm using some watercolors to make a space up above for the label of my gratitudes page. And I just penned in "a thankful heart is a happy heart." Shout out to all of you who grew up watching VeggieTales. And here is that bald eagle that I painted earlier on in the week. I just did it in this mini little watercolor book of mine. And all I'm going to do is cut it out and tape it down on my gratitudes page. I was so intimidated, I confess, to do bald eagle. I feel like it's just such an icon, an American icon that is so important, and I wanted to do it justice. But I guess once again, I learned that you shouldn't be afraid and to just go for it. I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. Obviously, I'm still a beginner with the watercolor and I'm no professional artist, but I think it turned out pretty decent and I am going to enjoy using this spread during these next 2 weeks. So moving on to our daily spaces, which is the final part of this setup, I am just dividing up each page into 4 sections. So that will give me space for the 7 days and then one final space for notes. And I'm doing the same thing on the next 2 pages for that week 20. The space on the side of each page is for my actions that I want to take. And so I've changed it up almost weekly as to what I say: actions, aspirations, goals, etc., etc. This week they're actions. And these are the symbols that I will be using to mark down what I am noting. These are from Mr. Bullet Journal himself. And I figured that I would get back into that since it's been a while that I've kind of taken some time away and just mostly been using my bullet journal for recording. And so now I am just stamping in. I wish it was this fast in real life, but it's not. This is just the magic of editing. I'm stamping in the days, and then that final section on each one of these spreads is for notes. And ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That completes this layout. So here's our cover page with our main picture of the bald eagle very majestically flying there, and my scriptures, and then our habit trackers and space for my gratitudes. I'll be writing all around that bald eagle there. And our daily spaces. I enjoy the simplicity of this, and I like how the green ties it all in, as well as the rubber stamp letters. I hope that you've enjoyed this video and that it inspires you to do something creative today. I hope that you will come back for more, subscribe if you aren't, and remember, stay happy, keep scribbling, and don't be afraid to try something new. Love you all. See you next week. Bye.